Fantastic. Thank you and welcome everybody to today's GradChat session. It's Thursday afternoon and we are towards the end of week one of traditional exam period. I'm Tevita Lesuma, I'm the GM of Student Engagement at the GSA, and I'm here with our special counsellors to talk to you about their role and what they hope to achieve here at GSA. And also we're going to talk a bit about exam well-being and sort of looking after yourself during this time. But first, I'd like to acknowledge the land of the Yakult Wilang clan, or the Bulangrong, where I'm actually hosting from today, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and recognise their strength, resilience, and the capacity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait people in this land. So, as I said, I'd like to welcome Mia Zentari. Mia is newly elected to our GSA Council, so a council made up of 15 postgraduate students at the University of Melbourne. And Mia is currently doing her Masters in Public Health, and she represents the council as the Education Research Officer. So very lucky to have Mia on board, especially during this time, because I know Mia has some assessments in the background. So Mia, are you there? Welcome to the show, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you very much for that, Tevita, and thanks for the great welcome to country that you did. As you said, I'm doing a Masters of Public Health. Health equity is something that I'm really passionate about. I feel very strongly that everybody deserves the right to healthcare, and to be able to live a healthy lifestyle regardless of their background or where they might come from or their mode of arrival in Australia. So I have been working in education, and as you mentioned, I am now the Education and Research Officer, which is a new role to me, and I'm really, really excited about representing students during this time.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, talk to us about, because a little bit of background about yourself is you're doing public health as a master's student, but you're also a teacher, is that right?
That's right. I've been working as a teacher for approximately 8 years now, in different parts of the world, really, including here, alternating between paid work and volunteer work, predominantly teaching English or English for academic purposes, to help students prepare to go into tertiary education when English isn't their native language.
Yeah, fantastic. And so tell us a bit about that experience. I mean, you say in Australia and around the world, what are some highlights of your experience in certain countries?
I've had I've been really fortunate to have a great variety of experiences and experience different cultures, from work. The last place actually was Tokyo. I worked at a university there. But I've also done things in areas around the Caucasus, sort of post-war areas there where there were very limited resources and communities that were really strong on the sense of community, really. They didn't have a lot of economic resources, but what they did have was shared amongst each other and with neighbors and things like that. And it can be obviously quite challenging to live in those circumstances, particularly when I didn't speak the local languages. But the warmth of people is something that really stayed with me in areas like that, and their resilience as well. And it's something that I've hoped to continue myself in my life. And I've also worked in Poland as well. My family heritage is Polish, so that gave me a really good opportunity to reconnect with the culture there, which I was really thankful for as well. And I've done stuff in Australia with asylum seekers.
Yes.
And it was a while ago now, but I did do some volunteer work at Christmas Island.
Wow.
Inside the detention centres there, which is obviously quite a confronting experience and can take a lot out of you. but you also learn a lot, and you hope that you contribute, hopefully, to the lives of people there.
Yeah, fantastic. What a wealth of experience and diversity, I think, is probably the term that comes to mind when we talk about your experience, in those environments. And we're really excited to have you as part of the GSA Council. And every year we welcome a good few into the council. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that we have all these diverseness and different experiences and opinions and conversations that shape GSA during their time. So, I mean, talk to me about that. So, as a counsellor now, and for those who are listening out, Mia Zentari, her details are about her nomination to GSA for election are actually on our website. I might ask Andrew to throw the link in there if you want to watch her video and talk about the stuff that makes that Mia's passionate about. It's a great way to get to know her. But otherwise, now that you made it to council, which is amazing, what are some of the things you hope to achieve while you're on council?
It's a great question, Tevita. There are a few things. If you do watch my video or read my caption, you'll see that I am really passionate about and have a strong sense of listening to grad students and what they actually need and what they want. So I'm really open to people talking to me, contacting me. That's really what I think needs to happen. Particularly at this time with everything that we're going through. And the GSA, of course, is a powerful vehicle to put forward the voice of grad students to the university and to inform some of the practices and the educational policies that are happening at the moment. Another thing that I would really like to do is to bring people into the GSA and bring the GSA to grad students, open things up to show that to grad students it is about them and it is relevant to them, regardless of their age or their life experience or their background or where they come from, that the GSA should be for every grad student and should be really listening to every grad student and considering every grad student and their experiences in the decisions we make, like I said, regardless of their age or life stage.
Yeah, fantastic. So a lot of work. So
yeah. And probably a lot of communication. So
yeah.
I think my background gives me good communication skills, good listening skills, and good insight into how to sort of see where somebody's coming from when they're trying to explain something to me. So I hope to bring those to the GSA, those skills.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess, as you said before, this is such a prime opportunity, opportune moment to actually advocate for students, especially now that our education is different than what we're sort of traditionally used to in terms of mode of teaching and assessment and learning. We've all had to adapt quite quickly. And I think this is the time where yourself will work very closely with Dr. Natasha Abrahams, our senior policy coordinator at GSA, and trying to advocate for those students, because there will be some tricky times ahead. And I think we've put out a couple of posts on social media to make sure that that people, if they are struggling with the mode of assessment or their exams and things aren't going right, is to get in touch with us, because from that we can build submissions and talk to the right people about trying to make it work better for the students. So really excited to have you aboard, Mia, and looking forward to the time that you're spending on council, because I guess it's a good time to be getting things done for students. And I think now with technology, there's no real excuse. I think a long time ago we were talking about our student engagement platforms, and a lot of the feedback was like, it's fantastic, you guys are doing a great job, but what would you do when things go back to inverted commas normal? And I said, actually, we probably want to maintain this, because for now it becomes an equitable way for students to reach us or for us to get our message out. So it's one of those interesting things. The technology has been around for a while, but I think it's one of these, tipping moments where it's like, actually, we need to do this, and actually we should have been doing this. And so, yeah, it's a good learning curve for GSA also. So, yeah, Mia, thanks so much for the overview on yourself and what you hope to achieve while you're here on council. I'm just going to flip it into another mode now and talk about the current situation with students. And I said before, we're in sort of the end of week one of examinations, and I guess a big topic is looking after your well-being during this time. And I think it's something we need to be mindful of. And I think most of us, we try our best. And I'm speaking to other students more recently, and I guess it's just having somebody reassure them or redirect them or refer them to places where they can know that there's information available, but also it's the simple things. So I'm going to go just through a few slides here, and I'm going to ask for some input from you, Mia, and potentially anyone on the line as to how they maintain their well-being during this time. So my next slide, if I can do this properly, is managing exam stress. So I guess well-being is, in general, is the holistic view of looking after yourself. But I think exam stress brings on a lot of symptoms that sort of work against your well-being. So I guess it's important to sort of go through these 10 points just quickly, just to remind us that there are ways we can look after ourselves even in these times. And please feel free to jump in, Mia, if you have anything to add here. But look, the first part there is like, feed your brain and body well. And obviously we talk about your healthy eating, your habits there, so, you're busy studying and, you want to be snacking, but try and swapping things out for, from those crisps or chips, depending what part of the world you're from there, and chocolate, to make some fresh fruit and some veggie snacks or some raw unsalted nuts. So I guess it's just picking the right snacks. And I think snacking is one of those things that it's almost a procrastination for me anyway. I don't know about you, Mia, but when I was studying, snacking almost seemed like a good way to escape the books.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely do the same thing, but I've found what I've actually started doing lately is herbal teas.
Wow.
Particularly if I'm trying to ease off on the caffeine or it's getting later in the day, I'm finding that those are really helpful.
Yeah, fantastic. So another point there is sleep. So, I mean, it's a basic need, right? So it's interesting that we have to keep talking about it, but I think most of us are culprits in the fact that we try, sleep almost becomes a second thought. And I guess in this context is your body needs to regenerate and your mind needs to relax. And so sleep is one of those mechanisms to be able to facilitate that. So, making sure that you even try and keep to a sleeping schedule. I know it sounds a bit mad, but, if you can try and, there's a lot of apps out there to ensure that you're sleeping, at least getting the regular hours. And I mean, people talk about the 8 hours. That's a luxury to me. If you can get, I think, I'm no sleep doctor, but if you can get anything around that area, I think you're doing well. But also I think too, it's about setting the time aside to make sure it becomes kind of a routine of how many hours that is. So sleep is a big one. And the occasional nap is okay too. I think that's I'm personally at that age where I look forward to those late afternoon naps if I can squeeze it in. Not during work hours, obviously. But also another point is being active. So regular exercise, can help take your mind off, any anxious thoughts. It does improve sleep, increases your energy levels, and also it doesn't take much just to do a little bit every day. And so whatever that looks like, we are in a different situation here with restrictions on where we're going around. But look, take a walk around the block. If you've got some sort of exercise, it doesn't have to be overexerting. As long as the blood's pumping, the heart rate goes up a little bit. I think that's definitely something that will help through this period, because it's one of those situations where a clear mind, it sort of helps to settle those thoughts. And then if the thoughts are settled, you get better sleep. And it's just sort of this whole knock-on effect. So I don't know, Mia, do you have any other tips to staying active, especially in this time?
Yeah, I agree. And doing some stuff that is the online things, the little online yoga sessions and stuff like that can be really helpful as well, for taking your mind off things. I actually found that this is an area that I fall down in sometimes myself, because I get so consumed in the study and so focused, and I forget sometimes. So I've been trying to set myself reminders and scheduling in time in my day to get active.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I mean, we'll probably talk about this in the next couple of seconds, but it's like putting those times aside. And I'm a big believer in calendars. So if it's scheduled, um, um, you're almost more likely to do it. And yeah, so whether you're scheduling the lunch breaks, time to eat, you could want to schedule your sleeping if you're that way inclined. And then just putting in 15 minutes or 20 minutes just in your calendar, say this is the time I'm going to just go for a walk, or walk the dog, or just meet up someone for a quick coffee, just something to get yourself active. And I guess that leads into the next part, is staying social. So I guess part of it, I mean, especially in these times, is it's the isolation that can sort of exacerbate things. And so if you have the opportunity is to reach out to friends or family, or jump on a forum, or on GSA we have a Connection in Isolation Facebook group there. So students are constantly putting in bits and pieces into that group to share their thoughts and ideas, and if anything they find something that would be great to support your well-being, they'll throw it in there too. So little bits and pieces like that definitely does help. And you've got, I mean, there's so many apps out there, and we've got the classic Facebook going on. So yeah, if you have the opportunity of reaching out to people is a big deal. And I guess part of reaching out to people is scheduling the downtime. I mean, it's one of these things is we sometimes there's procrastination, which is inevitable. I mean, we all have varied levels of procrastination, and I'm probably on the top level if I'm honest. But I think it's really important we talk about scheduling things. Is schedule the downtime. I mean, so you don't feel guilty if you want to watch an episode of a series that you're in the middle of. But if it's if it can be part of your your schedule, your plan, why not? So I've dedicated 30 minutes to watch my show, that's done, I'm back in it, or whatever it is. And I think that's really important. So Mia, what are some of the things that you sort of try and do to sort of escape the books if you can?
I was just thinking, I do sometimes watch some TV shows on Netflix, I won't lie. But I've actually found that you need to kind of stop feeling guilty about that and be kind to yourself when you want a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some students tend to, we tend to feel guilty if we take a break, and we have to get away from that mindset, because I've actually found that particularly if I'm a bit stuck, if I'm trying to write and I've got some writer's block, or I'm studying for exams and I'm feeling like I'm not really retaining anything anymore, that's your body telling you and your mind telling you that you do need to do something else. And you'll probably be more productive if you go and do something enjoyable and come back to it later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like giving yourself permission, because you're only hard on yourself, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so we mentioned that. So scheduling the downtime, and I might have skimmed over that before, but plan and prepare. That's where you slot these things in, so it becomes part of your routine. And as Mia says, be kind to yourself, because it's not a guilt trip if you've planned it, but also it's a tough time. So yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. The next point there is what you're thinking. So it's inevitable also in these times, negative thinking sort of, it can undermine your opportunities for success even before anything gets started. I think it's important to try and stay focused and focus on the strengths And we mentioned just then, be kind to yourself, if you do make mistakes. So I guess it's easier said than done, obviously, but, trying to stay positive and move away from that negative thinking, because it does play a part in the distractions, in the anxiety, and it all links to the rest of the points there on the slide. So, but also then the next one is set daily intentions. So what I mean by that is like, setting the goals, you set yourself, an affirmation to say to yourself, help set the mood for the day, doing things that keep you focused and positive. Whatever the day throws at you, just keep it simple. Say, today, I'm going to make a healthier choices, or, today I'm going to nail this subject, between these times. Or even, I haven't spoken to my friends or caught up with them for a while. Today, like this evening, I'm going to just hang out with them for a good few hours. I think it comes back to that, the scheduling and the planning and the staying social. But if you set the intentions, I think that provides a better feeling for yourself, because you can look back and actually, I set a goal and I did it. Whether it be, today I'm going to get out of the house. That's an intention to say that's the goal for my day. Do you do anything like that, Mia? Do you set miniature goals or goals for the day at all?
Yeah, I do. In times like this, I have a calendar sort of organizer which sits on my desk. So I have things like this scheduled in for the day, and I do actually set myself intentions. So an example could be, like today I'm gonna focus on my physical health. And I focus on that maybe for a couple of days, really focus on the exercise, healthy eating. Or today I want to find 2 things that make me laugh, for example. Something like that I find is really helpful. It reminds me in the morning that I don't just have a list of tasks that I have to do, but I have something else on there that is positive for my well-being.
Yeah, no, great examples. And I think, we've got one of our guests has popped in and says that they can never finish the goals of the day. And look, I think that comes back to being kind to yourself. And I think setting those, but also realistic goals, I think so I guess if you want, you set realistic goals that you will complete, or you'll have a more of a chance of completing. I think that's part of it too, because if you keep setting goals that, inevitably you'll be like, oh, you know what, that's going to be real tough and I'm going to struggle, and it's actually, I'm getting stressed about it, or I've got anxiety about not reaching my personal goals. Have a good goal. I mean, you've got to be kind to yourself. And part of that is, the next there is start a mindfulness practice, and focus your thoughts and shift attention and being, so mindfulness. So if you're not familiar with meditation or mindfulness, I've only recently got into it, and I wouldn't say I'm a practitioner, but it does help settle the thoughts. And there's so many different versions and techniques and apps and sessions. I know that the university's CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services at university are running mindfulness sessions, and that's through their website. You can register there, and hopefully Andrew can put a link in the chat there. But we're working with them in the next couple of weeks to go through some practices, and then set up a routine schedule throughout semester 2. So definitely a mindful practice is a great way to settle those thoughts, because it's the thoughts that get away from us, and the self-compassion part of mindfulness there too. Do you have a mindfulness practice, Mia, at all?
I don't at the moment. I have done so in the past a little bit. I don't actually at the moment. I'm sort of just doing more of the physical stuff is more my focus at the moment. And I feel like that really focuses me. Like you said earlier, going for a walk or doing something that gets my blood pumping is what really focuses my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And each to their own. There's not one tool fits everyone's needs, and I think that's part of this too, is just understanding what works for you. And if swimming, like I ran into someone this morning and they just come back from a 6 a.m. swim, and I just went, wow, that's That's huge. I don't know if I could be that person right now, but I think it's for them. It's just one of those setting a goal. It's a mindfulness routine for them, and also the staying physical, staying active. So and one of the last points there, sort of set your goals or keeping it real. So we just talked about this briefly, but more or less, as I mentioned to our guests, you need to keep it real. Otherwise, if you're setting these crazy goals, like for example, I need to smash this exam out of the park. I need to be a A1 star, or depending what part of the world you're from is, I need to be the best of the best. There's a lot of pressure on yourself, and I guess if you don't get the best, how does that make you feel? Or it's about setting goals to yourself. Some personal bests that are achievable is good. It's always good to push yourself, absolutely. But if it puts pressure on your well-being, I think it's something you got to look at personally. So absolutely, setting those realistic goals. Another slide here is like some other healthy tips. These are some apps actually. So Smiling Mind, Headspace, Stop, Breathe and Think, and the last one there is called the Forest app. And we'll get these resources put up for the recording when we put it up. The Forest one's interesting. The bottom there, it's a student actually brought to attention that this is basically it talks about the tasks that you need to achieve daily or weekly or monthly, and as soon as you start doing the tasks, it actually grows the virtual plant. If it doesn't get enough attention, unfortunately, it will virtually die. So just a bit more there, but it's I guess a nice way to sort of keep on top of things, making sure you're watering those tasks as much as you can to make it grow and to achieve your goals. So there are a few apps there: Smiling Mind, Headspace, Stop, Breathe and Think. Some other great resources that we've got here: GSA Study Buddies program. Actually, we are in the middle of a Study Buddy program, and it's interesting that we put this out probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and more of a competition. So what we did, we welcomed postgrad students to create study groups with each other from the same faculty. And we got about 9 groups together. I think we have 5 faculties. I'll have to just check with representation, but it ended up being over 100 students putting in the hours and slightly competitive. So there's a small little prize at the end to sort of have to show like a leaderboard on how many hours you spent as a group studying. And as I think there's an overwhelming response of how competitiveness can work hand in hand with study or revision. I'm sure someone's already written a paper on it, but it showed that there's this particularly one group that we're trying to work out if that was actually true, the number of hours they've done, but it was a lot. But so yeah, that's our Study Buddy program. It's getting towards the end of it, but because it's picked up a lot of traction and it's become very popular, we're actually going to put it in as part of an ongoing program at GSA to provide these virtual study groups. Also, I mentioned before, CAPS at UniMelb, they're running workshops and provide extra support for all students, but postgraduate students included, is to help sort of with those anxieties and stresses, and probably shape your well-being attitude towards this time of year. And Reach Out is another not-for-profit there that talks about managing stress, and there's a section on their website that talks particularly around postgraduate study and the stress related to exams and how to sort of minimize the effects of those stresses. I mean, I guess stress is everywhere. It's in us no matter how well we do. I guess it's about managing the stress, and I mean, in certain situations stress is good, but in this situation it's about just managing it and sort of, I guess, regulating the stress and making sure that you're still number one in the equation. So yeah, so that's a few of the resources and tips, and I know that we have some other links here that I'll get Andrew to share the links also there. But Wellbeing during exams, and University of Melbourne Support Services, so Stop One, and all the team there are there to support, and then the general exam information. So hopefully you've you've got this information, but if not, we'll definitely send it to you after this call. I'll get Andrew to send it out to whoever's on board, but also it'll be on with the recording. So yeah, Mia, in general, I mean, how do you go about managing your stress and well-being and around this time? Is that you got any routines that you generally try and do? Or I mean, like sometimes it's funny you when you say, oh, routine, and something that I do all the time. And I think even for myself, one of my, I don't know if I call it tricks, but one of my things I used to do is when I had an exam on, I used to, catch public transport. I would get off the public transport about 30 to 40 minute walk before the exam venue. And I would set time, I'd set times, all that stuff correctly, but I would literally walk and just, I guess, help me clear my mind and concentrating on just walking forward and trying to stay positive before any exam. Actually, that was a routine of mine. I guess it worked. I passed, but I guess it's one of those things. We all have our bits and pieces that help us get through these times. So any tips from you, Mia?
I think we've talked about a lot of them. The physical activity as well. I always found that chatting to friends before an exam about not the exam was actually helpful. So it was really great to, if you run into friends or classmates outside of the venue. But if that's not the case, just having a chat on the phone or in Messenger or something with a friend about, what you're going to do on the weekend or something else. Something positive that lifts you up and takes your mind off that stress and kind of alters your mood a little bit. It's a little tip that I have is to kind of roll your shoulders back and take a deep breath, because it actually helps to release the tension in your shoulders. And that tension is both caused by stress, but it also goes into a bit of a feedback loop where if you have the tension there, then your brain thinks you're stressed and it kind of goes around in a circle. Yeah, I learned that in psychology. So,
well, there you go. You can't see me, but I'm actually rolling my shoulders back right in a second.
Is it helping?
Oh, absolutely. This is fantastic. That's a good tip for me. Now, we do have somebody on the other side here, and if you wanted to, we'll welcome you to maybe provide some of your routine or tips to dealing with your supporting your well-being during exams. We're happy to unmic you and let you speak if you wanted to. Otherwise, happy to also facilitate any questions through the Q&A function or chat function, whatever is appropriate for you. But yeah, so if you did miss it, because I think you might have been a bit late to the session, which is fine. I'm Tevita, and this is Mia. We're both from the GSA. I'm a GM for student engagement, and Mia is our council member, who's also the education research officer. And so we welcome Mia into our council only recently. And Mia's thankfully and gratefully given us the time to be on the call just to talk about her experiences. So I guess part of this session too is just understanding that you're not alone. I mean, it is that time. I mean, it's a universal time for most university students around Australia. But there are services to support you as a student within the university. So I mentioned before, utilizing the services at CAPS and utilizing any of the support mechanisms from GSA, and obviously reaching out to our student reps like Mia. So did you have any questions or any comments there from the audience? Is it Kin or Chin?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Good. So yeah, do you have any general questions for us, or any routines that you normally get into just to help support your well-being during exam periods?
Yeah, I try to get some sleep. Try to get more sleep, but I cannot.
It's always that, isn't it? You always try to get the sleep, but I think because the brain is working overtime, it's hard to settle the thoughts.
Yeah.
But do you get out enough? Or do you socialize or do something active to help ease those thoughts?
Yeah. Sometimes I go out, walk the dog.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
No, I think that's part of it too. I don't know if it helps you, Mia, but an animal, especially during this time, is an amazing way to help settle the thoughts. I mean, I don't have a pet at the moment, but I do have cousins that live nearby that have pets, and so I find myself knocking on their door, routinely just to see if the dog needs a walk. Yeah, so it definitely helps me.
Yeah, I have fish actually.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, I'm not allowed the furry animals in my rental, although I think that's changed now and we will be allowed. But I do have a few fish around the apartment that I share with my housemates, and
Oh,
they're very
brilliant.
relaxing to watch actually, and some of them are quite interactive and cute. So yeah, it definitely helps to lift the spirits and boost the mood.
Well, I think sometimes they put things in perspective a little bit. It's just, it's almost like if you got little ones at home, or you're caring for little ones, or you have the opportunity to be around small families, they almost sort of settle the mind again too. I mean, when I did my dissertation, and it was a tough time. So it's like found myself in the library a lot. It was this routine about just writing and reading, writing, reading, writing, reading, and I would go and visit my little godson, and he was only 3 at the time, and it would be an amazing way just to settle the mind, because you're more worried about him falling over, or making him laugh or something, and that was a great way to sort of ease my thoughts anyway. But so again, is it Chin?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or comments for myself or Mia while you're on the call?
No, I think that's all good. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, look, for the bits that you missed earlier, this recording is going up, and we are doing a series of webinars. And I might ask Andrew, who's also on the call from GSA, just to go through some of the things that we've got planned. Andrew, are you there?
Hey, Tevita, yeah, I'm here. So yeah, for the next week, we have 4 webinars as usual. The first on Monday, we're introducing some grad reps and some council members from GSA. And on Tuesday, we've got workplace rights. Wednesday, we have a discussion that'll be geared towards young people and maybe how they approach the law. And I think on Thursday, we have exam anxiety. I'm just talking through that again. Other events on, I think we have the drop-in dance session. And yeah, were you curious to ask as to what my exam processes were as well, Tevita, or is that?
Sure. And give us some insight into how you manage your exam time.
Well, I think I do remember sometimes feeling stressed enough to the point that my solution for stress would be to have a nap that would make me forget for a second that I still had exams to come. But I think that was the start of my exam stress experience, which was earlier on in my high school years. But I think when I was starting to do uni, I think just making sure that you know how much marks are being allocated to which which questions, and making sure that you take the time to make sure that you can do the longer form questions maybe first, so that the shorter form questions, which have maybe more marks but maybe less, but just segmenting your time to make sure that you do spend the time efficiently and not losing too much time in the process. I think that's something I definitely remembered making sure I would do.
Actually, yeah, that's a fantastic point. I think when you're doing the exams, it's about being diligent in your time, obviously, because there's time limits. And there is a resource which maybe you can put up, Andrew, that the University of Melbourne's put up about preparing for an exam, on the day and as part of your exam, understanding the structure. And you just said about which questions are weighted how much, to be able to sort of measure out your time wisely.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing the events for next week. How does someone get involved or sign up to those particular activities?
So these events are just going to be on the GSA events page. I'm just going to link that into the sidebar now. And yeah, if there's anything that people are interested in, that will be a pretty good source to register for any upcoming webinars.
Fantastic.
And also previous ones.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And yeah, just to reiterate what Adam just said, we do record this session. It will be live and we'll put it up on our blog. And so you'll be able to refer back to it, and also all the resources will be attached to it. So that sort of concludes the session. If there's anything else, Chin, did you have anything else to ask or query?
No.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us today, and a big thank you to Mia to taking out some time of her schedule, because I know you have a bit of assessment to go. So I really appreciate your time. And again, welcome to GSA, Mia.
Thank you very much, Tevita. I would just like to add to everybody, if you have a look at the events there, it looks like there's a 90s dance party at home, in your home. 90s dance party next week sounds like a good break to me. So I hope to see people there.
Fantastic. That's it's actually becoming quite popular. So as Mia said, sign up, and it's a lot of fun, and it's able to shake those nerves, anxieties during this period. So on behalf of GSA and the team, we want to thank everyone for listening in, and to wish everyone a good luck vibes during this time, but also making sure you look after yourselves. So thanks again, everyone, and goodbye.